My sister always acted like she loved me, but after her parents died in a car crash, I found out she secretly changed the will, stole everything, and lied to everyone about what really happened that night. Growing up, I always thought my older sister Amanda was perfect. She had this radiant smile that made everyone trust her, these soft brown eyes that always seemed kind, and a voice that could calm anyone down, even our hot headed dad. She was 5 years older than me, and everyone in our small Ohio town adored her. Teachers sang her praises, neighbors loved her, and my parents? They were obsessed. And to be fair, so was I. Amanda was everything I wasn't: confident, graceful, smart without even trying. Our parents weren't rich, but they were hardworking. Dad owned a local hardware store, and mom was a middle school English teacher. They poured everything they had into giving us a good life. We lived in a modest three-bedroom house just outside of town, where wildflowers grew in the front yard and the smell of mom's banana bread often drifted through the screen door. Amanda never made me feel like I was a burden. She would braid my hair before school, help me with my math homework, and even sneak me candy when mom wasn't looking. I idolized her. She was more than a sister. She was my best friend, my second mom, my safe place. But looking back now, I realized there were cracks even then. Moments where her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Times she'd joke about being stuck in a town like this forever, and how she'd get annoyed if mom asked too many questions about her plans, or if dad tried to keep her out past curfew. I was too young to see it, but she was already pulling away from us. When Amanda went off to college in Chicago, things changed. The house felt quieter. Mom missed her like crazy, calling her every night. Dad pretended he didn't care, but I caught him staring at her old bedroom more than once. Amanda came home less and less, once for Thanksgiving, then only for Christmas. Eventually, just for a weekend. But she always made time for me. She'd bring me little gifts, ask about school, promise we'd go to the mall together. And I believed her. Then came that night. It was a rainy Thursday in late October. I was 15. Amanda had come home for the weekend unexpectedly. She said she wanted to talk to mom and dad about something important. I remember feeling excited, like maybe she missed us more than she let on. But there was tension in the air during dinner. Amanda barely ate. Mom looked nervous. Dad kept checking his watch. Later that night, I woke up to the sound of the front door slamming, then tires screeching. I ran to the window, but all I saw were headlights disappearing into the rain. The call came at 3:17 a.m. Mom and Dad had been in a car crash just outside of town. The sheriff said it looked like they were heading toward the edge of the county, near that cliff road that everyone said was dangerous in the rain. Their car had gone over the edge. Neither of them survived. It didn't make sense. Why would they even be out that late? And where was Amanda? She showed up at the hospital half an hour later, soaked from the rain, mascara streaked down her cheeks. She said she had a fight with them earlier that night, but they left without telling her where they were going. She claimed she tried to call them but couldn't reach them. Everyone believed her. And why wouldn't they? Amanda was the grieving daughter, the golden child, the one everyone knew had no reason to lie. Except the way she looked at me that night. It was like she was scared, not of what had happened, but of what I might know. I didn't say anything. Not then. But that was the beginning of everything falling apart. The funeral was a blur of black clothes, wilted flowers, and too many casseroles from neighbors who didn't know what else to do. I don't remember who gave the eulogy or what songs were played. I just remember holding Amanda's hand so tightly my knuckles went white. I was afraid, afraid of a future without my parents, afraid of being alone. But Amanda promised me I wouldn't be. We still have each other, she whispered at the burial site. I'll take care of you always. I believed her. Of course I did. She was Amanda. She'd never lied to me before, at least not in a way I could see. Things moved quickly after that. Too quickly. Within 2 weeks, Amanda had moved back home and taken control of everything. She started cleaning out the house, boxing up mom's things, donating Dad's clothes without even asking me. I tried to protest, but she said it was too hard for her to see their stuff every day. Then came the meeting with the lawyer. I didn't know much about legal stuff back then. I just remember sitting in a cold office with dusty bookshelves and a man with tired eyes and a thicker mustache than I thought was even possible. Amanda looked calm, even bored, like she'd done this before. The lawyer opened a file and began reading. According to the will, everything, the house, the bank accounts, the insurance payout, was being left to Amanda. There was a brief mention of me, something about setting up a small trust fund for my education, but that was it. I blinked, confused. What that? That can't be right. Amanda reached over and grabbed my hand. It's okay, Gracie. I'll still take care of you. Mom and Dad just thought it would be simpler this way. You're still a minor, remember? But something didn't sit right with me. Our parents had always said they wanted things to be fair. Mom had talked about setting up a joint inheritance. Dad had even once joked that he'd put Amanda in charge only if I didn't want the responsibility. But now, suddenly, everything was Amanda's. I looked at the lawyer, but he avoided my gaze. I looked at Amanda, and that's when I saw it again. That flicker, that fear. I didn't have the words for it then, but I do now. Guilt. Still, I was 15. I didn't know how wills worked. I didn't even know what questions to ask. I just nodded numbly, signed the papers Amanda told me to sign, and let it happen. Weeks passed. Amanda enrolled me in online school, saying she didn't want me dealing with people gossiping. She sold the house, moved us into a condo on the edge of town, and started talking about going back to Chicago once things settled. But things never really settled. I started having nightmares of the rain, the headlights, the sound of the front door slamming. And one day, I found something. It was a folder in the back of Dad's old desk drawer that Amanda hadn't gotten to yet. Inside was a copy of their original will, dated 2 years before the crash. In that version, everything was split evenly between us. Half for Amanda, half for me. The house, the savings, the life insurance, everything. My hands started shaking because the version the lawyer read, it had been updated just a few months ago, after Amanda turned 21, and right before she came home that weekend. I stared at the date on the new will over and over again. And that's when the truth started creeping in. Amanda hadn't just been the grieving sister. She had planned something. And maybe, just maybe, she knew more about our parents' deaths than she ever let on. After finding the original will in Dad's desk, everything in me wanted to scream. But I didn't. Not yet. I sat on the edge of my bed and just stared at the two documents, the original and the new version. The signatures looked similar, but something about the second one felt off. Mom's handwriting was always neat and a little loopy. This version felt rushed, sharper. The more I stared, the more I realized I was staring at a lie. But what could I do? I was 15. Amanda had all the power now. She had guardianship. She had the lawyer on her side. And everyone in town just assumed she was this amazing older sister who gave up her future to take care of me. No one would believe me if I accused her of what exactly? Faking a will? Setting up our parents' deaths? It sounded insane, but the questions kept piling up. So I started doing what I could. I listened. I started asking quiet questions when people came over. I talked to neighbors. I asked Mom's coworkers if she'd said anything weird the week before the crash. Most people just looked at me with pity. Some offered vague comfort. But one person said something that made my stomach drop. Mrs. Blakely, Mom's best friend from the middle school, mentioned that Mom had seemed distracted the day before she died. She said Amanda was coming home that weekend, Mrs. Blakely said, and that there were going to be some hard conversations. What kind of conversations? I asked. She frowned. I'm not sure. She just said they were worried about Amanda's decisions. I figured maybe it was something about money. Or school. That night, I waited until Amanda went to sleep and snuck into her room. My heart was racing the whole time, part from fear, part from rage. I needed answers. She kept her laptop locked, but her phone? It was right there on the nightstand. No passcode. I know it was wrong, but I opened her messages. Most of them were boring, texts from friends, old boyfriends, college group chats. But then I found a thread with someone named Miles. Amanda, they're not going to give it to me. They said I'm being reckless. Miles, then you have to convince them. You said it's all in your dad's name, right? Amanda, yes, but if they don't update the will soon, it'll get split. Half of it will go to Grace. Miles, that's still better than nothing. Amanda, no, I deserve it, all of it. I'm the one who sacrificed everything for this family. The text stopped about a week before the crash. I took screenshots and emailed them to myself, heart pounding. The whole time, Amanda kept snoring softly just a few feet away. The next morning, I confronted her. I didn't even have a plan. I just blurted it out. I know you changed the will. Amanda froze, a cup of coffee halfway to her lips. What are you talking about? I found the original and the text with Miles. Her face drained of color. For a second, I thought she was going to deny everything. But then she laughed, this cold, joyless laugh that I had never heard before. You have no idea what you're talking about, she said, setting the cup down. You're a child. I know enough to know you lied. You manipulated mom and dad. You told them you needed the money. Or maybe you forged their signatures. I don't know. But they didn't just give everything to you. They wouldn't have. Amanda's eyes narrowed. You think you're going to take me to court or something? With what money, Grace? You think anyone's going to listen to a 15-year-old who's clearly traumatized and desperate for attention? Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I'm not scared of you anymore, I whispered. She leaned in close. Then you're not as smart as you think. That night, I packed a backpack with the documents and my laptop. I didn't even know where I was going. I just knew I had to leave. But before I could walk out that door, the truth hit me like a freight train. What if it wasn't just about money? What if Amanda wanted them gone? What if she didn't just change the will after the fact, but knew they wouldn't be around to argue? I didn't sleep that night. I stayed at my friend Kayla's house, curled up on her bedroom floor, telling her everything. She didn't say much, just listened. When I showed her the two versions of the will and the text from Miles, she looked scared. You can't go back there, she said. What if she really did something? That's when I realized how deep this went. Amanda wasn't just a liar. She might be a criminal. The next day, I made an appointment with another lawyer. I used the emergency number from the school counselor's office and explained everything. I showed the lawyer both wills, the text, and even a timeline I had sketched out. He looked at everything for a long time and finally said, "This isn't nothing." Then he asked a question I hadn't thought of. Has anyone investigated the crash? I blinked. What do you mean? Was it ruled accidental? Was there an autopsy? Toxicology report? Any indication of mechanical failure? I had no idea. Amanda had handled all of that. The lawyer helped me file a public records request with the sheriff's office. It took a few days, but when the files came back, my world flipped upside down. There was something strange. The car had no skid marks on the road, no signs that Dad tried to brake. But the brake line had been severed. Clean cut. The sheriff's report said it could have been wear and tear, but the mechanic who examined the car made a note. Unusual damage pattern. Possible foul play. How had this been missed? Amanda had insisted on a quick funeral. No autopsies. Just burial and silence. Now I knew why. I showed everything to the lawyer. He called in a private investigator and opened a case. Things moved fast after that. Amanda was served with a cease and desist. The trust was frozen. An investigation into the will began, and within 2 weeks, Amanda was ordered to appear in court for a hearing. The media got wind of it. Suddenly, my perfect sister wasn't so perfect anymore. The town turned. People started asking questions, and I kept digging. The private investigator found out Miles had a record. Fraud. Blackmail. He disappeared right after the crash, gone completely off grid. But the biggest reveal came when the investigator traced Amanda's bank records. 2 days before the crash, a massive wire transfer had been initiated from Dad's business account to an account under Amanda's name. Almost $70,000. The transfer was flagged as suspicious by the bank, but by the time anyone could act on it, our parents were dead. Amanda had emptied their accounts, changed the will, lied to everyone, and she almost got away with it. Amanda didn't show up for the first court date. The judge issued a bench warrant. Within 48 hours, they found her in a motel 2 towns over, using a fake name and trying to drain the last of her accounts. When they brought her into court, she looked like a ghost. Thin, pale, empty. She didn't say a word during the hearing. But her lawyer tried everything, said she was grieving, that she'd made mistakes, that nothing proved intent to harm. Then the judge read the text messages aloud. He laid out the original will, the timeline, the break line. And finally, he said, I believe this was premeditated fraud at minimum. Amanda was taken into custody that day. The criminal case is still ongoing. They're trying to determine whether charges of manslaughter or worse might apply. But the fraud and theft charges alone could put her away for years. As for me, I was placed under temporary guardianship with Kayla's family until I turned 18. The court unfroze my trust, and the original will was reinstated after a handwriting expert confirmed that the second version was likely forged. I got everything back. The house, the money, the truth. But none of it brought Mom and Dad back. I still think about that night, about whether Amanda really planned for them to die, or just didn't care if they did, whether she cut the brake line herself or Miles did, whether they fought in that car before they went off the edge, or whether they were already gone inside from what she'd done to them. Sometimes I imagine Mom grabbing Dad's arm, begging him to stop. Sometimes I imagine them just letting go, because the pain of their daughter betraying them might have been too much. I don't know. I'll probably never know. But what I do know is this. Evil doesn't always look like a villain in a movie. Sometimes it looks like the person braiding your hair, the sister who reads you bedtime stories, the person you trust most in the world. And when the mask slips, when you finally see them for who they are, it changes everything. I used to envy Amanda. Now I pity her, because no amount of money could fill whatever was broken in her. But I will move forward. I will rebuild. Not just for me, but for Mom and Dad. For the family Amanda destroyed with her lies. And for the girl I used to be, the one who believed love was always real and sisters never betray you. Because now I know better. And knowing the truth, that's where healing begins.